My Yah-only friend Eric, anytime we talk about scripture, no matter what the topic, he always brings it back to the importance of the land. So finally, the other day when we were talking, I said to him, you know what? I'm going to start studying and I'm going to put together a teaching on the land. And so as I was researching and studying, so much started to become so clear to me. But there was so much I couldn't even include it in the video you're about to hear. So I will be breaking it down into different sections of teachings. But before we get to this teaching, sit back and hear directly from Eric about his understanding of the land.
I have said many times over the years that the key to breaking the religious spell is understanding the land, because it seems clear-cut to me once I looked at it. And yes, in the very beginning, when I was still Christian, years ago, almost 30 years ago, I started asking these questions. Well, it says here that the Most High destroyed Jerusalem, laid it low, laid it waste, a desolate place. And you keep looking at this desolate stuff. Then you touch the wrong book. You touch the book of Daniel. And the book of Daniel is nothing but the book of Revelation to Christians at the end of the day, because the abomination of desolation. What was the abomination? Their land. That's the way I look at it. Now, lots of people do not agree with my interpretations of anything of that book, which is fine, And I'm accustomed and used to it. So during the book of Daniel, we know that eventually the Most High destroys, desolates Babylon as well. And as we can look throughout this world, the majority of this world was touched by the Most High as well when he scattered Jacob. Again, it's all about Jacob and the land. That's it. That book is about absolutely nothing else. That is the saga. That is the trilogy. And why is it a saga and a trilogy? Well, because Jacob kept getting kicked out of the land until the last time, for the latter days. Jacob's troubles that the church misinterprets. If I'm not mistaken, the church sees Jacob's troubles coming at some point, right? In their book of Revelations, Jacob has been in trouble our whole lives. Matter of fact, Jacob has been in trouble for our grandparents' whole lives and our great-great-grandparents' whole lives. That's how long Jacob has been in trouble. We don't really know, but that's also how long the land has been destroyed and unoccupied. Unoccupied is the most important thing, because if that place is destroyed and unoccupied, where was this one we call JC? Where was his ministry? Where did he conduct his ministry? He had no Jerusalem. He had no Bethlehem. He had none of these places. They only exist in a bait and switch location in our modern so-called geography. And then when you look at the scriptures, even when I was Christian, I was questioning these things. I was like, well, it says the Most High will rescue Jacob. He will bring Jacob back to the land. He said he will cleanse them. He will save them. He will restore them. He will build their houses. He will build their palaces. He will build everything. He will restore the land, and the place will be flowing with milk and honey again. And then all those who remember the wasted places, all of those round about who remember the wasted places would say, these are the wasted places? And now it's a Garden of Eden? You cannot justify any part of the New Testament the second you understand the land.
Yesterday was the 4th of July, and we've all heard the song, "This land is your land, this land is my land." And we've all heard people argue over the land. But today, I want to ask a question that completely changed the way I understand Torah. And so the question is, whose land is it? But what if we've been asking the wrong question? Because Yah already answered it. So let's begin. In Leviticus 25, verse 23, The land shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine, for you are strangers and sojourners with me. Read that again. The land is mine. Yah never said the land ultimately belongs to Israel. Israel lives there as sojourners with Yah, and that changes everything. So if the land belongs to Yah, why does the land have Sabbaths? Leviticus 25, verse 2 through 4. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall keep a Sabbath to Yah. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather its fruit. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for the land, a Sabbath to Yah. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. And I'm going to stop right there and point out that this is the same thing Yah did with the manna. 6 days they gather, and on the 7th there was no manna, and they rested. This is the same pattern. And we understand people resting, but why does the land rest? Because Yah says the land belongs to Him. Every 7th year, Israel was reminded, this is not your land, this is Yah's land, and Yah provides. Now look at what happens when Israel is disobedient to allowing the land to rest. Leviticus 26, verses 32 through 35. I myself will lay the land waste, so that your enemies who dwell in it shall be astonished at it. I will scatter you among the nations and draw out the sword after you. Your land shall be desolate, and your cities shall be waste. Then the land shall enjoy its Sabbaths as long as it lies desolate, and you are in your enemies' lands. Then the land shall rest and enjoy its Sabbath. As long as it lies desolate, it shall rest, because it did not rest on your Sabbaths when you dwelt upon it. So Israel refused to let the land rest, so Yah removed them. Then the land finally received its Sabbaths. The exile wasn't only about removing the people, it also restored the rest that had been withheld from Yah's land. And this is repeated in scripture later in 2 Chronicles 36, verses 20 through 21. Those who escaped from the sword he carried away to Babylon, where they became servants to him and to his sons until the rule of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of Yah by the mouth of Jeremiah. Unto the land had enjoyed its Sabbath. All the days that it lay desolate it kept Sabbath, to fulfill 70 years. Again, the land kept Sabbath. Now let's ask another question. Why did Yah choose this land? Why not another place? Deuteronomy 12, verse 5. But you shall seek the place which Yah your Elohim chooses out of all your tribes to put his name there for his dwelling, and there you shall go. So Yah says he will place his name there, not because the land belongs to Israel, because it belongs to him. His name, his authority, his covenant, his land. Now let's go back to the very beginning. Adam and Eve were in the garden that Yah planted. The garden didn't belong to Adam and Eve. The forbidden tree wasn't Adam and Eve's. When Adam and Eve reached out and took what Yah had forbidden, they were removed from Yah's garden. And later, Israel entered Yah's land. Again, the land wasn't theirs. Yah established his order. Again, disobedience led to the removal. Now let's consider Abraham. Joshua reminds us where Abraham came from. Joshua 24, verses 2 through 3. And Joshua said to all the people, Thus says Yah, the Elohim of Israel, long ago your fathers lived beyond the river, Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nahor, and they served other gods. Then I took your father Abraham from beyond the river and led him through all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his offspring, and gave him Isaac. Before Abraham inherited the land, Yah called him out out of an idolatrous household, out of his father's house. Then Yah led him into the land. The journey began with leaving the other gods behind. Then Israel, before Israel entered the land, they first had to leave Egypt, a land filled with idols. Yah called them out. He gave them his covenant, then he led them towards his land. And even Moses learned about Yah's land. In Exodus 3, verse 5, "Do not come near. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground." The ground was holy because Yah's presence, not because of Moses. And later, Yah tells Israel in Joshua 1, verse 3, "Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, just as I promised Moses." Notice, their feet did not create ownership. Yah gave the land to them. And throughout the Torah, dwelling in that land was tied to walking in Yah's covenant. And Yah promises a day when he will restore both his people and his land. Ezekiel 36, verses 22 through 24. "Therefore, say to the house of Israel, Thus says Yah Elohim, I do not do this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you went. I will sanctify my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. Then the nations shall know that I am Yah, declares Yah Elohim, when I show myself holy through you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all the countries, and bring you into your own land." So notice why Yah acts. He does it for his name. And then later, in Ezekiel 36, verses 33 through 36, "Thus says Yah Elohim, on the day that I cleanse you from all your iniquities, I will cause the cities to be inhabited, and the waste places shall be rebuilt. The desolate land shall be tilled instead of lying desolate in the sight of all who passed by. So they will say, this land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are fortified and inhabited. Then the nations that remain around you shall know that I, Yah, have rebuilt the ruined places and replanted that which was desolate. I, Yah, have spoken it, and I will do it." So the restoration ends with the land becoming like the Garden of Eden. So perhaps the question was never, whose land is it? Yah already answered, the land is mine. Perhaps the question we all should be asking is, are we willing to recognize Yah as the owner of the land? The Torah begins with Yah's garden. The covenant centers on Yah's land. The prophets end with Yah restoring his land. And through it all, one truth never changes. The land is mine, says Yah. Isaiah 60, verse 21. Your people also shall all be righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified.